Welcome. Today we're going to be speaking with Rosalion from Autism Support, all about diversity. It's a term that's bandied around quite a bit, but what we want to chat about today is exactly what is it, how can we really celebrate it in our life and make the most of the diverse people in our lives. So welcome, Catherine.
Hi, thank you.
Oh, Catherine's taking a while to join us. Oh, here she comes. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, how you going?
You're all of a sudden you've gone on mute. Can you just is that working? It was working a few minutes ago. Gotta love a few technical issues on a Friday.
Sure
while Catherine's sorting through that, just wanted to share a little bit about Catherine. So she is an expert in the autism space and working with all sorts of individuals, businesses and families around celebrating all sorts of diversity. So, Catherine, do you want to speak again? I'm getting a message saying everyone can hear you except me.
Hi, good morning. Welcome.
Okay, not really sure what's happening. Could you say something else? We might have to try again, go out and come in again if I can't hear you this time.
Yeah, hi, I can hear you fine as well.
Yeah. Okay, well, I might just sign out and we'll try and re-enter. I'll speak to you soon.
Okay.
Welcome, we're back. Gotta love technical issues on the first day of lockdown in Melbourne. So welcome everybody back to the show. So we're going to be talking with Catherine Rosalion. Without further ado, we'll grab Catherine into the space. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, good morning.
So we'd like to start with, if you can share, so that we can get to know you a bit better, something quirky or interesting about you.
I suppose it's interesting that I have been proposed to 4 times, engaged 2 of them and married once, but probably, the most interesting proposal was a guy I met on a boat in Vanuatu that I had known for less than 24 hours. So, and all very diverse people that proposed to me as well.
Excellent. And that's a really good segue into diversity. So I love the story, by the way. No one's proposed to me, so there's still time. So what is diversity?
It's interesting. I put a post recently about diversity, thinking of moving interstate, and people only commented on cultural diversity. But there's actually so much diversity in the world. So with culture, religion, ethnicity, sexuality, age, ability, I like to call it ability rather than disability. We've all got different abilities. Social, economic, education, diversity is just everything that makes us different in the world.
Excellent. So I love that. I love that we often just, hone in on one aspect of diversity. So I would think of that widely used term disability, or in terms of cultural. But that's really interesting that it's all those different areas. So how can we, today's topic's all around celebrating it, and it's sort of the term that's bandied around quite a bit, let's celebrate diversity. Why do you think that it's really important for us to celebrate and embrace it?
I think everyone is different, and it's really important because diversity makes up the world, and it's what makes everyone unique and special in the world, but it's also what makes the world go around. If we didn't have different skills and abilities, different languages, different interests, then we wouldn't have all the different things that we have in our world. So I think it's definitely really important. It makes all of our lives richer and more exciting and interesting.
Excellent. And so what are let's get into some benefits. So we've got people viewing here today who might have kids who are on the spectrum, or they might be non-binary, or, there's all sorts of diversity, cultural diversity, difference to those people around us. And people in the workplace as well, having, diverse teams. So in a practical way, can you give me an example of how you can celebrate diversity and use it to your advantage and to the advantage of the person who's diverse?
Sure, that's a big question. I think celebrating diversity helps yourself and helps others just by having richer life experiences. So we learn more about others. We can overcome stereotypes, because often things that we don't know, sort of are scary or fearful for us. So if we learn more about others, that can help us and also help others. It helps unite us, because I actually think there's a lot more commonalities and things that are alike in all humans than there are actually that are different. It helps build up awareness and empathy. I think obviously there's lots of diverse people in the world. We can't live in other people's shoes, but we can definitely learn more about them and be more empathetic and understanding. It definitely helps discourage discrimination if we're embracing and celebrating diversity, and just helps educate ourselves and our community if we're broadening our perspectives on understanding other people as well. So
Excellent.
Yeah.
And so you said commonalities in a lot of us. What do you mean by that?
Well, like maybe one example would be, this might be a bit of a hot topic, but so let's say religion, for example. I think if you look at all world religions, there's actually a lot more that are similar about them than different. And even humans, like we've got different colored skin or different color eyes or hair or whatever it is, but we've still got, you know, the same sort of bodies and the same emotions, and there's lots of things that are more common about us than different.
Yeah, excellent. And so just because in this space is particularly interests me, and you are an autism expert, so for instance, you know, if people want to include more diversity in the workplace, and also have real benefits for having diversity there, you know, let's not, you know, mince words. It is often about the bottom line and, you know, getting the best for your business and your customers. So if you know, what sort of attributes or positive things can say someone with autism bring to your workplace?
For sure. So many things. Actually, a few things came up recently. So lots of people on the spectrum, but kids in particular that I work with love to sort things. They love to sort by colour or by genre. And there was a post that came up in a local community group about how do we get some help to sort all these lids. They're collecting like bottle tops and lids to make wheelchairs and prosthetic limbs for people. And I'm like, I've got a wealth of kids that would just love to sit there and sort all the coloured lids out for you. So, you know, a job that maybe might be menial or not interesting to some of us, some of our kids would just sit there for hours and would love to sort things out. Older adults in a workplace, lots of them have amazing eye for detail. There's lots of fantastic autistic artists out there, graphic designers, people in those spaces, and lots have amazing skills in sort of technology and IT, engineering kind of realms, just with their eye for detail and their sort of need for perfection, I suppose, as well. And that can be great in a workplace.
Yeah. And so if these people who, like a creative like me, would go, oh my God, I can't think of anything worse than trawling through this database or finding patterns within that data, or, you know, those sorts of things, where you're saying that these people not only would do it, but would, you know, people with these special traits would embrace it.
Yep, and enjoy it. Yeah.
Excellent. And what do you find is the biggest barrier to people celebrating diversity?
I think education and understanding. I think we're often fearful of things we don't understand and we don't know things about. But when we get out there, when we hang out with different people, when we find new places to network, if it's for a work kind of thing, if we Google, if we read, if we learn more about things, I think it's really just the understanding that it's a huge barrier for embracing and celebrating diversity.
Okay, great. So often we tend to, there's stats out there that say that a lot of organisations tend to hire the same sort of people. There's a comfort level in hiring people who are like yourself. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the world would not go around, workplaces would not work if we had everyone that was similar. I know you and your co-team, Carmen, are quite different, and I think your different aspects help make the business work. And the same with the wider world. If we were all the same,
yeah,
the world would not be functioning.
Yeah, exactly. So can you give me some other examples of how diversity can work in the workplace?
How diversity can work, just specific in a workplace. I suppose it's about utilising everyone's different skills. I think we've all got things we're passionate about and interested in, but we've also got things that we're really good at. And if you focus on people's strengths and abilities in a workplace, I think you've got positions that everyone can sort of fill, like someone that's maybe doesn't have the same social skills, doesn't want to be upfront doing sort of customer relations, but as you said, could be behind the desk analysing spreadsheets or doing data entry or other jobs. So yeah, I think the best way to embrace it in the workplace is just focusing on strengths and abilities.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's a really pertinent point you said there about, I'll give you an example for us. So we might have someone interested in getting a team member. And I'll give you an example. Someone we hired early on who wasn't as fantastic at verbalizing things. And so her English is great. Written English is fine. But, she's not really comfortable, wasn't really comfortable talking a lot verbally. But she has an amazing mind. And I often feel like if I'd got caught up in going, well, her level of English isn't, 100%, then we wouldn't have hired her, and then we would have missed out on all her skills. So I really concur with your example of, or your point around, sometimes some things aren't important, are they?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, yes, sorry, I do think that some things are not important. And actually it reminded me of even hiring staff for our team. We run holiday programs for kids on the spectrum. And we actually need quite a diverse range of staff. So we've got a male that's really outgoing, that gets out there and pushes kids on swings and kicks a footy. But there's a few sort of quite reserved and quiet staff that maybe might get overlooked by other businesses. Like you said, maybe their social skills are not great, but the written English is. But I need those staff, and I hire them because I need people that can just sit with one of our little girls with epilepsy that might be having a seizure and needs to be kept calm on the couch, for example, or some staff that are really creative and into art will sit with the kids at the art table and do all that, whereas we've got other staff that want to be outdoorsy and doing other things. So yeah, we've got a huge diverse range of staff that work for us, and I think it really works with the clientele that we work for, even down to having a Muslim woman that some of our families are more happy to have them involved with toileting and personal care needs with some of our kids than a staff of another race or gender as well. So yeah.
And I think this is where it's not about being what's the word I'm trying to think of it. It's not like judging and going, oh well, but it's just about the best fit, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so what about the advantages of accommodating diversity in your products or services? So I know recently we were chatting and you were telling me a story about somebody who'd contacted you about that.
Yes, I just looked them up this morning, actually. I thought I had been contacted by two hairdressers. One of them was a hairdresser, and one of them, interestingly enough, I found out was a tattoo parlour in Wirrialloc. So a small country town that has a tattoo parlour, and she contacted me on the Autism Support Facebook page and wanted sort of some ideas around sensory modifications for her tattoo parlour, because she really wanted to include people with autism. Her sister apparently is autistic, and she gets some clients that want to come in for tattoos, but wanted some suggestions. So yeah, like things like soundproofing, and she's looking into headphones that they can wear because the machinery is quite noisy, altering lighting, having sensory box and fiddle toys and things she was willing to accommodate as well. So, and I think in her business it opens up hugely who you can service. So the bottom line is she's probably going to be making more money, but she's going to be helping more people that also want to access her service.
Yeah, that's great. So it sounds like she was having like part of the tattoo parlor would now accommodate these people. It's not like she had to change every single thing in there, but it's like putting headphones on doesn't mean you're cutting out all the noise. It's just for that particular person.
Yeah, and I actually think these accommodations don't just help the autistic population as such. They can help everyone. Like, we've all got sensory needs, we can all be helped by sitting there and fiddling with something, you know, to take your mind off the pain or the noise or something else too. So I think it's not like, although she's wanting to cater to have more autistic people come into the tattoo parlor, I think there's a much wider breadth of people that she's going to help in that space as well.
Yeah, you just made me think. I went to a chiropractor last night, and whenever I'm getting crunched, often with healthcare professionals, or I'm getting remedial massage, I want them to talk to me to get my mind off the pain. I think there's a big market in there. Like, I was just thinking, if I was laying on the chiropractic table and he's working on my lower back or whatever, maybe I could have a squeezy thing or something that I think that'd really help.
Yeah, I think it would help lots of people.
Yeah. So what I'm learning here is that by catering for more diverse people with your products and services, you're actually just catering for more people in general, like all of us.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
So
I love it when I go to autism specific conference or a disability conference. They'll often have like Play-Doh on the chairs for when you're listening to the speeches, or fiddle toys or things, and I'm like, and you see everyone in the audience playing with them, and it doesn't mean that everyone has a disability or is on the autism spectrum, but yeah, I think it just opens it up. It's something that we all, as humans, again, much more similar than different, can benefit from.
Yeah. And like even meetings, I'm getting ideas now. Often we, especially with the advent of technology and the increasing use of technology, and so we want to have our phone in our hands in meetings, and it's really good to actually have something to replace a phone in meetings. And, you know, I wouldn't mind having a squeeze ball or some Play-Doh or something to be playing with while I'm listening.
Yeah. Even the fiddle toys, the little poppets that have come out as a new craze in schools, like it's not just our autistic kids that are using them. If any classroom you walk into at the moment, you've got like 20-odd kids that all have a poppet to fiddle with, and just them being active while learning is helping their brains to actually focus on what they need to learn too. So, yeah.
What's a poppet?
I should grab one to show you. It's supposed to replace bubble wrap kind of thing. It's a little silicone toy that you push your fingers in and out and sort of fiddle with to have that sensation of popping bubble wrap almost.
Oh, okay. And does it make any noise?
Minimal. It's not sort of disruptive in a classroom setting or anything. So yeah.
Oh, I was just wondering. I think it's amazing. And so, because I remember once I went with you years ago to Luna Park when they had a day catering for diversity. So tell us about that one.
That was the Autism Awareness Day from memory, I think. We had a walk, and then we had a big sort of expo at Luna Park. From memory, I think they made it sort of more sensory friendly in terms of reducing noise and things. But yeah, we had a big expo displaying lots of businesses, autism specific. And there was lots of sensory things there, and just lots of products and services to help those with autism.
Yeah, and there was also supermarkets are even doing it now, aren't they? They're doing, you know, like an hour or two in the morning on a Wednesday or whatever to cater more for, say, people with autism.
Yeah, they are. I looked it up the other day for a client actually. So yeah, Coles and Woolies are both doing it. I think Coles is the Tuesday morning for 10:30 to 11:30 from memory at selective stores. But they dim the lights, they reduce all the sounds and the beeps on the registers. They don't stack the trolleys that make quite a loud noise at that point in time. They increase the staff actually during that hour to help people that need to locate things on shelves and everything. So yeah, it's a great thing that they've introduced, and they're becoming more aware of sort of just the complexity of shopping for someone on the spectrum.
Yeah. This is a little bit of a tangent, but if you're, say, on the spectrum and you're really sensitive to sound, and so employees might need to be mindful of that, parents, schools, etc. What is happening in that person's brain that is actually an advantage? So if they have this, you know, super stimulation aspect to sound, like what does that create for them in a positive way?
It's an interesting question. I haven't looked at it before. Often kids will put on headphones, or adults will put on headphones to block that out. But I suppose some advantages I've seen is kids can often tune in to, say, an ambulance that's miles away and be aware of that danger, which is quite a protective thing. In a workplace, I suppose, even like hummings of fluorescent lights and things they can tune into, they can tell you when the light bulb's about to blow, or it might seem trivial, but yeah, they can tune into noise and are probably more aware of danger in some ways, or their environment around them that we might be a bit oblivious to in some ways.
Yeah, and I think there's diversity everywhere. So, for instance, we've been talking a little bit about autism, but for instance, I remember back in my days working in the IT space, and we'd be in this office where everyone was pretty open plan. We had little cubicles, but we were quite a few of us in the cubicle, and some of the guys would like to wear headphones with music. I couldn't think of anything worse. Like, I cannot focus if I've got noise. Often in the car, I'll just like silence. So I think, this is about everyone just having different preferences, isn't it, in terms of their best, environments for them to be their best.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's about noticing that we're all different and we like different things and we're good at different things. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And now the other story was around the hairdresser. So tell us about how the hairdressing business wanted to embrace diversity with their products and service and clients.
Yeah, she was asking me more about sort of modifications to studio, I think, as such. But you're right, it could then go into products and services. So in terms of using, say, shampoos with less of a smell. But she was also, looking at sort of soundproofing the space, providing, headphones for those that found the dryers and things quite loud and noisy. There were lots of things she was sort of looking at implementing and ideas that she'd already had, which I think was great. And the fact that there's businesses out there reaching out to look at how they can alter services to be more inclusive is fantastic. Yeah.
And then what about around customer service? Because I find that I think I've loosened up a bit over the years, but I'm very set in my ways around how people should communicate with me in customer service situations. And so, it's a bit of a two-way street though. So how, what I'm getting at is if someone's not your typical polite in the way that you think is the way a person should be polite. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but what are your thoughts on, even customer service representatives being more inclusive and celebrating diverse customers rather than going, oh, well, she was a bit rude?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. So one thing that comes to mind is often eye contact's really tricky for people on the spectrum. So they might be talking but not looking at you, for example. So just understanding about different quirks of autistic people and realizing that they're not being rude, that they really just can't process and it's too overwhelming for them to look you in the eye when they're speaking to you. They might not understand or see the necessity of using please and thank you and those kind of things that we view socially as common courtesy. And so, we'll just be straight to the point kind of thing. So just, I think, understanding that as well. And I have seen a lot of businesses. I saw a guy ordering the other day who I presume was nonverbal with his phone and sort of held up and pointed at what is written on the phone, and people just being accommodating to, they don't have to verbally speak to you. They can show you an image or a picture or something written, and just being accepting of different ways of communicating, I think.
Yeah. Now, I know that you've written one book and you're writing another one around various aspects of diversity. So do you want to tell us a little bit about Henry with a Y?
Sure. So not autism specific, but I do have a huge range that I'm hoping to get out there down the autism field. Henry with a Y is about a little transgender boy. My inspiration for writing it was one of my daughter's 4-year-old friends that we have known since a baby, that we thought was a girl when they were little, but has transitioned to a boy. And there weren't books that I could find in the children's literature out there that represented transgender children going from girl to boy. There's a lot of books out there, and that's fantastic the other way around, but there weren't any in that space. So yeah, Henry with a Y is hoping to help a whole lot of kids understand transgender people.
Yeah, and I love it because, you know, we all understand through storytelling, and I think it's great that that children are exposed to rather being you know, adults telling them, oh, there's all sorts of people in the world and we should accept everybody. I love that you've put it into a story. If people are interested in getting your Henry with a Y, how can they get hold of it?
Yep, they can just contact me at Autism Support on either the website or the Facebook page. And yeah, I'm happy to give you the details. I haven't got a printed copy in my hand, but I should have by next week. It's on pre-order, and we've already had several copies being purchased through the illustrator's website as well. So yeah, just get in touch and I can let you know. Okay,
great. And then the other one that I really loved too was the one that you're doing soon around a deaf child. Is that going to be a children's book as well?
Yeah, at the moment I've been a bit inspired by the kids' books and the gaps in the literature. So my niece is deaf, and the book was inspired by her and sort of understanding that a bit more. And I've probably binge watched the Stan series, Switched at Birth, a little bit too much, where there's deaf people and signing in that. So got some inspiration, and yeah, I've written another book. It hasn't been illustrated yet, but a few sort of at work in progress.
Oh, excellent. And so what do you think, you know, this is going to be a really very broad question, but what do you think we need to do in general as a society here in Australia to, you know, because often we go, oh, the government should, you know, do stuff, but what can we start doing as an individual to embrace more diversity in our lives? Because even if we say we do, I think, you know, sometimes we look around and I look around and go, oh, I've got a lot of white middle-class friends. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's all right to say, yes, I embrace diversity, but how come I haven't got more diverse people in my immediate circle? And, you know, I mean, and I know it's a big question, but how can we embrace diversity so that we help ourselves and our teams and our children?
Yeah. So yeah, the first of all, I suppose, would be, yeah, definitely broadening the group of people that you hang out with. So look for different social networks, hang out in different geographical areas where there's different cultures, different race and ethnicity. So yeah, definitely hanging out with different people is a huge thing to start with. Researching. So Google's your friend. If you meet someone that's different to you when you want to find out more about them, like ask them. But also there's so much wealth of knowledge out there. So you can look things up and educate yourself. And I think that is a huge help, including reading books, obviously, from children at a young age. I think if they've got literature about diversity, that then goes through to the next generations. One thing I read recently, sort of in a business realm actually, was just if all of us were thinking like entrepreneurs, sort of disrupting cultural norms and our internal processes and thinking differently, that's kind of the heart of innovation for business, but it's also a way to understand diversity. I think if we were all out there not worried about sort of cultural norms that we think should be in place, but embracing more difference, then we can think outside the box and just be more accepting and aware of other people.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Catherine, for joining us today. I love hearing your stories about diversity and the celebration of diversity, and I think you really live it, because whenever I hang out with you or go to one of your birthday parties, there's usually diverse people there, which I think is great that you expose yourself and others to diversity and celebrate all sorts of people, because they all add value. So what's the best way to contact you if anyone would like advice around, you know, getting diversity into the workplace or getting support with their diverse children?
Yeah, definitely through email or Facebook page with Autism Support would be great. I do now have a new URL for Diverse World that I've now got the business rights to as well. But yeah, nothing on that space yet. That will be where the books will be going up and any other sort of things related more to diversity. Autism Support's more autism specific, but we are definitely embracing everyone.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
See ya.
So, thank you to Catherine. If anyone would like to get any more information, then just reach out at catherine@autismsupport.com.au. Have a good day, everybody. So if you'd like to see more interviews with amazing business owners sharing extraordinary insights, click subscribe, then click the bell button, then click all, and we'll notify you.